Hi, I'm Robbie, product manager with Augment. This is a video for acceptance of our application. So what we want to do is, so to give you a quick overview, what Augment does is provide a uh, multi-tenancy application for SaaS management for MSPs. So with the Engage portion and the portion for which we're doing the integration, we allow MSPs to do common management tasks for SaaS platforms. So, for example, Microsoft 365 is already in production, and we're trying to currently add Google Workspace. We'll walk through what each of those are shortly. So first, I'll show you the integration. I think we wanted to see the integration, and then specifically at this stage, you want to see the client ID. And what we'll do is we'll just run through the whole URL so you're able to see sorry. So you're able to see what you want to see during the approval process here. So it's quite long, but I'll go through and you can pause as you need to. Okay, we're there. So I'm going to choose my account, get the list of things. So I'll run you through the list of things. So here's the app, augment.com. So manage users on the domain. So we want to be able to do this so that we can get user information for the MSP. The reason we want data transfer is because we have an action to remove users, and during the removal process, we want to be able to transfer the data to another user, manager, etc. Uh, Again, same here with data transfer. Groups. The reason we want to view and manage group stuff is because during the add user process, we want to allow them to add them to the appropriate groups, or just at any point in time select users and add them or remove them from groups as needed. The reason we want to see license information here is so that we can, again, manage which user has access to which subscription. So we get the list of all the subscriptions available in the system, and then we allow them to, first of all, assign them to subscriptions during the addition of a user, or just go ahead and manage specific users and modify their subscriptions. Again, for groups is the same reasoning of managing groups, same here. Provisioning of users is for the adding and removal of users, and data access is once again for the transfer of data. And the sending email option here is because we send confirmation emails when these actions are done for both audit log purposes. Sometimes valuable information is sent in the email, say a password reset, a notification that that's been completed, etc., etc. So I'll go ahead and allow this. We'll walk through the actual application and each of um, those actions that I talked about. Okay, so my integration is connected. We'll move over to the Engage portion, which is the only part that we use the Google Workspace integration for this time. So here's my Google Workspace integration in the dropdown. This is the list of users that was pulled from Google Workspace. And then I can perform actions on these guys. So I can do some bulk actions, which is simply managing groups. I can do actions for a single user. It's also accessible over here. So I'll just walk through each one of those. So first of all, the add user is a separate one. It's up here. So we'll go ahead and create a new employee. They can, because in our list of employees, they can manually enter employees and augment themselves or upload them. There may be employees here that don't actually come from Google Workspace, and we'll list them so that you can take that and turn it into a Google Workspace account. It just saves part of the creation process because we pre-fill information. And of course, create one from scratch, which will add them both in Google Workspace and our application. So department, Google. Oops. Okay, so we have a user created. So over here, they have to reset the password so that it's part of the password creation process. They can enter it manually if they want to. They choose who it gets sent to. So this is pre-filled with the actual user logged into our platform so that they get the confirmation, but they can send the confirmation details directly to an employee picked from our list of employees as well. So often this may be like the manager, another employee, et cetera, et cetera. And then here's where we can add them to a group. So we have one group at this time available. So here's me adding them to that group. And then if there were multiple subscriptions, they're listed here. So how we manage that right now is we read your list of SKUs. I believe you have an API for the list of SKUs. And we look at all the subscriptions that at least a user has. So my understanding, and of course I'm in product management, not development here, but I've been explained that there seems to be no API to just give us what the organization's subscriptions are so that we can display these here and say you have access to these, like you've enabled these, because what we don't want to do is allow enablement through this application. This application is meant for least privilege access for security purposes. So give this to the L1, L2 techs and let the L3 techs manage the back end through your full featured console. But our limitation here is that we can't really know what's been enabled at the organization level unless a user has it. So we kind of we read through the list of users, and if someone has Google Voice, we assume that they've got that subscription enabled, and we make it available here. So that's how we're displaying this list, and that's when we're leveraging the licenses object. So the details of the account completion here, and we'll click next to go ahead and create that user. And you can see a confirmation that the user's been created. So that's the first one. So the second one is reset passwords. We have a little icon for it here. You just saw that in action. It does the exact same thing, but without the complete user flow. Suspend sign-in. Let me pick a random account, and I will suspend sign-in. And this will block the user from being able to sign in. So this is used in hacking, laptop stealing situations, etc. Guys getting fired, who knows? And then, of course, if an account has been blocked, needs to be unblocked, then we can do the inverse and unsuspend that sign-in. Okay, the other options here are, so sign a user of all applications. So for that exact same reason, we may want to kick someone out of all the sessions, likely block the account, then kick out of the sessions. So I've just signed out that user. We can manage groups. So again, you saw this during the add remove the add user flow, but I could say this user has this group, and I can remove it from this user. Now, if I create more groups, which I potentially should have done first here, and you'll have to excuse my limited knowledge of this interface. Okay. Now we can select multiple users and manage these groups. We do and actually part of what you guys want to know is we do a daily discovery on this stuff actually, so we're not constantly hammering your server. So the group will only unfortunately show up the next day for people to the technician to be able to leverage. So this isn't like an instant system in that respect, but group adding and removal is typically done at an L3 level. Once they're available, the next request will come through the L1 technicians. We could do so. if I pick ones that have groups, so these guys have common groups. And when you do manage groups, we'll show the common groups. And then if there were other groups, you'll get the drop down here, as you saw a moment ago, and you're able to add a group to multiple users as well, or you can remove a group from multiple users. And then manage licenses, again, exactly as I showed you earlier. And if there were multiple subscriptions enabled, they would appear here. And then remove user is a full featured workflow. So this is following best practice for MSPs. So typically when a user is being removed, sometimes it's due to a person getting fired. Sometimes it's simply because they're leaving, and regardless, we typically want to safeguard the account. So they'll reset the password, suspend the user, sign out all of the applications. We actually apply this and then send them to the next step. So this gets actioned immediately. So it's being actioned now on the back end. And then they can take the time to figure out, okay, who do I want to transfer the data of ownership to, or do I not want to transfer it? What do I want to include when I complete that? So as an example, I could transfer that user's data to this Mark guy. I'd say include these extra things. I may want to actually remove the user from our Augment application at the same time. So that's what this triggers. This does not trigger your API. And then I can complete. And then you have your confirmation as always. So I believe that's the top to bottom review of the application. Thank you very much.